No one understood why a doctor would pay $13,000 for an abandoned building. The site was a rundown, forgotten relic of another time. The building had been abandoned over time, and nothing below floors 2 through 5 remained visible or inhabitable. Most people living nearby did not go out of their way to get to the site. They just knew that you should not go there, not because they were told not to, but just because it felt wrong. So, when Elena bought the hospital, everyone talked about it. They said it was a waste, they said she would regret it, and everyone said it would not bring good things. Elena never tried to explain. In fact, she was not able to explain. She felt an urge to buy the facility. If you looked closely enough, you would see that she was not doing it for a financial gain, nor did she have a plan, nor did it make logical sense to her to buy the building in this condition. All she knew was she wanted to move on with her life, a life that had not made sense to her in a long time. In the beginning, she had him, Daniel. He wasn't special in the way the world describes someone, famous or wealthy, but he always listened to her, waited for her, made her feel comfortable after long, difficult days. Their life together was simple. They had no drama, no complications, simply small moments that felt right. They had plans to share a life together and build something over time. Daniel's illness began simply. The doctors said it would resolve on its own, and Elena did not see reason to worry. But it never resolved, and it grew worse over time. Elena sensed what was going on long before anyone had the courage to say anything. And although she tried everything she could, all she would get were questions, from the answers she wanted to answers she could not find, to being right next to Daniel at all times. But nothing that she did would change the outcome. After Daniel's death, there was an eerie silence in the world for her. Not in an overtly loud or dramatic manner, but rather almost as if it was now part of her daily routine. While continuing to go through the motions of daily living, working, socializing, ongoing duties, anything that she emotionally experienced belonged to a past reality. Her physical world continued to function normally, but she was no longer experiencing life with the same emotional resonance. Days were long, nights were void, and very few experiences carried the same depth of meaning as they once did. As time passed, nothing had changed in the world around her. She simply continued to live from day to day without giving it too much thought. But one day she found an advertisement for an old hospital located for sale for a price of $1,300. The information was very brief and almost nonchalantly written. After viewing the advertisement, she initially moved on to another page, but kept going back to view the same advertisement. Something about the advertisement struck her as worthy of consideration. Just days after visiting, she checked out the site. In reality, the place was worse than the photos. The road was busted. The building was tired-looking, as if it had been abandoned for far too long an amount of time without anyone caring. It did not look like the kind of thing you can make new again. It looked like the kind of thing you just walk away from. As soon as she stepped inside, silence was the first thing that struck her. It was heavy, not relaxing. Heavy silence, where even the smallest of noises is much louder than it should be. As she continued down the hallways into the different rooms, she could see the old beds, the old equipment, everything sitting just as they were left. Everything was still there, but it didn't feel like any of it was there anymore. Most would have walked out already at this point, but she would not. She wasn't the least bit uncomfortable by this. In fact, she found that it just seemed to feel like this building was waiting. She went ahead and purchased the business, in spite of the opinions of friends about the viability of her venture. She simply went to work. At first, cleaning was difficult. There was so much dust, broken furniture, and many rooms appeared identical. Initially, cleaning felt like just labor. There was no sense of reward in it. However, over time, she continued to labor and gradually made progress. Through her continued efforts, the space began to transform. More light entered through the windows. The air became lighter, and sounds became less oppressive. At the same time, she was also beginning to transform as well. Previously, she spent much time thinking about the past. Now she was concentrating on what she was doing and where she was. After a number of weeks had passed, one day she discovered a small office located toward the rear of the building. The office door was jammed, but she forced it open. Upon entering the office appeared to be identical to every other room: dusty, old furniture, and silence. As she began cleaning to rearranging, she discovered one of the desk drawers would not open properly. The first time she had attempted to open the hidden compartment, it had not budged. The second time she tried had been harder, and it opened up to reveal a hidden compartment and some letters tied together. After having held those letters for a moment, she finally opened one of them. The letter read, "For my love," at the top. She began reading and realized that all of the letters were written by a doctor to someone he loved, a patient. The doctor's patient was dying, and the doctor was attempting to save the patient's life, but he could not save her. Each letter contained only simple thoughts and feelings from the doctor that he wanted his patient to know. After reading the letter for a while, Elena continued to read all of the letters that were contained in the hidden compartment. The end of the story changed with every letter, but the way the doctor conveyed his love for his patient did not change at all with each letter as it got closer to the end of his patient's life. The doctor wanted his patient to know that he was always there for her and loved her, even if he could not do anything to save her from dying. At the end of the last letter was a note, shorter than the others and hastily written, that said whoever found the letters should pass on, that love existed at this location, and that it should never be lost. Sitting in silence, still holding the letter, she knew the letter meant something else too. She felt something in her soul, some deep understanding she could not put into words. Love does not go away. It stays here. It lives inside of people in the places where they loved and in the things they once possessed, forgotten from this world. Since that moment, she had looked at the hospital differently than she had before. It was no longer an abandoned shell of a building, but held great meaning to her. And she wanted to see it restored, not only cleaned up, but also restored with intent. She worked on restoring the hospital over many months, and when it was finally opened again, it was a completely different place. Not just a hospital, but warm and welcoming. A safe haven for people seeking refuge from the harshness of their everyday lives. A small plaque outside the entrance read that this place was a testament to love. That is why it still existed and not been completely ravaged by time and neglect. Not everybody who entered had always had prior knowledge of all of the details. However, many felt something nonetheless. For the first time in quite some time, Elena felt something as well. Be sure to subscribe and join us to catch up on any stories from previous videos that were worth your time to watch, and I will see you then.